Good morning. Nothing like singing to wake you up an hour earlier. I invite you to rise in body and or spirit, and let's sing together out of the Teal hymn book, hymn number 1024, When the Spirit Says Do. If you're joining us online, there's a lyric sheet that you can link to. We'll have the lyrics for you. The lyrics will be up here, but you won't need to look at them too much.
Good morning indeed. Welcome to the Olympia Unitarian Universalist congregation. Thank you for joining us today. We are so glad you're here. My name is Whitney Godby. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm a member of the worship arts team. I'm a white woman with long brown and gray hair, and today I'm enjoying the OUUC tradition of Pajama Day, since we lost an hour for daylight savings this morning. So I'm wearing slippers, sweatpants, and a cozy gray hoodie. Leading worship with me today is our minister, Reverend Mary Geer, Sara Lewis, the Director of Community and Faith Development, and Troy Fisher, our music director. Our community envisions an interconnected world that is loving, just, and healthy. We commit to live out our mission to welcome and wonder, embrace and empower, bridge and become. We're a people of many genders, many racial identities, many economic levels, and many sexual identities. And in all the ways that we're different, we are united as one people. We're a faith community that believes diversity is sacred and that we're enriched by the gifts that each of us bring. We affirm that we are all growing and becoming and that we learn from each other. Thank you for your presence here, however you have arrived. Here are a few things to know about our service today with the hope that you'll feel welcome. We're streaming live on Zoom and YouTube, and the service is being recorded. For those here in the sanctuary, there are subtitles on the screen in front, if that's helpful, and on Zoom for those online. We are a multi-generational community that welcomes people of all ages here in the sanctuary. We have soft chairs and activities over here, and there's also nursery care and a storytime program for children in the classroom wing. So families, please be where you are most comfortable. There are also busy bags just outside the door for anyone ages 5 and older, which also includes adults. If your hands need to be busy during the service, please help yourself. We're grateful for the many hands that helped make worship happen this morning, visible and less visible. Thank you to all who contribute in so many ways. After the service, everyone will have the chance to discuss reflection questions offered by Reverend Mary. For those online, we invite you to go into a breakout room for a virtual coffee chat. And for those in person, please feel free to stay for coffee and fellowship in the Commons. At 12:15 today, please join us here in the sanctuary or back in the main Zoom room for a forum on what we're doing here at OUUC for families and children with Reverend Mary, Reverend Sara, and Anissa Bentlam-Sani, our religious education assistant. The last class of the New to OUUC series is on Zoom today from 2 to 3:30. Reverend Mary and Reverend Sara will be available to answer your burning questions. Everyone is welcome. You can find the link on our website or contact the OUUC office. The next class will start on April 9th at 6:30 after the community dinner. We are about halfway through our 2026 to 27 stewardship drive, and we continue strong. At the end of this third week, we've received 116 pledges for a total of $406,968. Thanks to your generous pledges, we are well over halfway to meeting our goal. Pledges are the foundation of our budget. Knowing in advance what households plan to contribute allows us to plan with confidence. We understand that pledging is a personal decision shaped by many factors. Stewardship is both a practical act and a spiritual practice, reflecting our shared commitment to this congregation that we love. Every contribution, no matter the size, makes a difference. It truly takes all of us, many hearts and hands, to support our vibrant and growing community. If you haven't pledged yet, we invite you to do so today at the link in the chat or after the service in the Commons. There will be members of the team out in the Commons after the service today to answer any questions and accept pledge cards. Thank you for your thoughtful consideration and participation in this year's pledge drive. There are many things happening at OUUC, so check out the Tuesday electronic update or the website for the most up-to-date information. Now, as we enter this time of worship, we invite you to open your heart and mind to the possibility of transformation in this gathering of community. It is good to be together. This morning, we join Unitarian Universalist congregations around the world in lighting a chalice, the symbol of our faith tradition, with the words of Katie Savani Gelfand. We call forth the life of our faith by igniting our chalice. This spark of new beginnings invites us into a sacred space to reflect where we have been and where we are going. Even knowing that this particular flame will end with our ritual extinguishing, we fear not its end. For we know with brave hearts that from every ending of our lives, we're sent forth to make a new beginning.
Good morning. Congratulations for making the time change. It's good to see you here. I'm Reverend Mary, and I use she, her pronouns. I also am enjoying Pajama Sunday today with slippers and sweatpants and a Pride colorful t-shirt and a salmon robe. Our opening words this morning are offered by the Reverend Scott Taylor. Let go. Let go of those worries that push you into the future. Let go of your regrets that pull you into the past. Let go of your judgments that focus you on what's missing rather than what's being offered. Let go of your perfected plans that blind you to the wildness of the world. Let go so you can be here, so you can notice finally the sweet stillness that wants to lure and love you into the beauty of just getting to be. Come, let us worship together.
I invite you to rise again in body and our spirit, and let's sing together again out of the Teal Hymn Book, hymn number 1051, Isay Barnwell's We Are.
For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. We are our grandmother's prayers, and we are our grandfather's dreamings. We are the breath of our ancestors. We are the Spirit of God. We are mothers of courage and fathers of time. We are daughters of dust and the sons of great visions. We're sisters of mercy and brothers of love. We are lovers of life and the builders of nations. We're seekers of truth and keepers of faith. We are makers of peace and the wisdom of ages. We are our grandmother's prayers, and we are our grandfather's dreamings. We are the breath of our ancestors. We are the Spirit of God. We are mothers of courage and fathers of time. We are daughters of dust and the sons of great visions. We're sisters of mercy and brothers of love. We are lovers of life and the builders of nations. We're seekers of truth and keepers of faith. We are makers of peace and the wisdom of ages. We are our grandmother's prayers, and we are our grandfather's dreamings. We are the breath of our ancestors. We are the Spirit of God. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are.
Thank you for singing.
Good morning. Well, I'm going to tell you a story. Yes. So our story is about a baker, old Finn, who had been a baker for a very long time. In fact, he had learned to bake when he was quite young. And the other bakers, his elders, had taught him how to mix and work the dough. But most importantly, they had taught him how to build the perfect fire underneath the big ovens that would keep them just at the right temperature to bake the wonderful bread and other baked goods. And he practiced, and he studied, and he learned, and one day they clapped him on the back and said, "You're a baker now." And he was so proud. He had learned all he would ever need to learn. And so he carried on baking. But over the years, things started to change. And one of those things was a new technology came to the land where he lived. A strange technology with ovens that didn't require a fire under them. And that just seemed wrong to Finn. And he was too old to learn something new, so he carried on doing it the way he'd always done it. Now, some of the younger bakers offered to teach him how to use these newfangled ovens, but he said, "No, I don't need to." And so he kept on baking the way he had always baked. But fewer and fewer people were coming to his bakery now. They seemed to prefer the new ways. And it got kind of sad and lonely. It seemed like he was just baking for himself. There was almost no point to it. But he couldn't stop because being a baker was his identity. It was who he was. Well, one day, a big storm hit the whole area, and the power went out. And now, all the other bakeries couldn't bake that day. But Finn still could, and he went into his bakery as always and started up working to get the ovens ready to go. And then he heard somebody say, "Excuse me." And he turned around, and it was one of the young bakers. "What do you want?" he said, somewhat suspiciously. And the young baker said, "Well, there's a big power outage. And, well, that means that I and the other bakers can't bake today. But, people need to eat. So I was thinking a lot of them might come here. And, well, you're all alone, so I thought you might need some help." "Oh, okay," said Finn, still somewhat grumpy. And he showed the young baker what needed to be done. And the young baker made some mistakes, but it was still okay. And they got ready, and it was true. When they opened, there were a lot more people than usual at Finn's bakery. And it was good that he'd had the help. And some of the people who came to the bakery were more of the young bakers. And when they saw that Finn was teaching and needed help, they also jumped in. And they had a great day of all working together and feeding lots and lots of people. And when they were done and cleaned up and leaving, one of the young bakers said, "What a great day. Why, any day that you learn something new is a good day." And as Finn was left alone in his bakery at the end of that day, he thought about it. And what a wonderful day that had been to be part of a baking community again. And he thought about what that young baker had said, that any day you learn something new is a good day. And he realized he had learned something new that day. And maybe he wasn't too old to keep learning. Maybe he still could be part of the baking community, and he could learn these new ways, and he could teach the old ways too. And so from that day on, Finn was part of the baking community again. And he learned, and he taught, and he had many, many good days for the rest of his life. Thus ends our story.
Each Sunday, we engage in the spiritual practices of both generosity and gratitude. by joining together in service to our community and to something greater than ourselves. This is an opportunity to express our gratitude for the gifts that life has given us, the network of relationships in which we live, and for the presence of this community. We each have the power to share, and when we combine our gifts to create an offering, together we're able to do more than any one of us can do alone. If you are new or visiting us, you are a welcome guest, and we don't expect you to contribute. However, if you are moved to be part of our offering, what you share is accepted with gratitude. The offering collected here does two things. Half helps support the ongoing work of this congregation, which is also supported by your regular pledges. And the other half of our offering goes to charity. Most is shared with an organization that serves our community in harmony with our Unitarian Universalist values, and a small portion goes to the OUUC Ministers Benevolence Fund to support the more urgent needs in our community. In January and February, our Share the Plate recipient was Homes First, a local organization that provides safe, clean, stable, and affordable homes to community members who are very low and extremely low income. Your generosity allowed us to send $4,461.21 to Homes First, and the same amount to OUUC to cover operating costs. Thank you for your generosity. Our Share the Plate organization for March and April is POWER, Parents Organizing for Welfare and Economic Rights. POWER is an organization of low-income parents and allies who advocate for a strong social safety net while working towards a world where children and their caregivers are truly valued and the devastation of poverty has been eradicated. They work to provide grassroots support for members of our local community through mutual aid, support groups, and legislative advocacy. We offer our thanks to all who give, including those who give to the offering electronically. If you're curious about that, you can find out more in the order of service or on the OUUC website. May the offering now be generously given as it is gratefully received.
There are so many gifts in this community. Thank you so much for generously sharing yours. This morning, we do what we humans have always done. We gather in times of worry and fear, and in times of celebration and joy. We come into this community this morning bringing all that is in our lives, on our minds and in our hearts. So let's open our hearts to the complexity of life as we place stones in the water of community. We'll hear a drumbeat. I invite you to allow its resonance into your body. It's the heartbeat of life, the heartbeat of our community. Let's take a deep breath together. In and out. Feel the air enter and leave your body as it nourishes each of your cells. Feel the earth, our Mother Earth, solid beneath us. Feel the warmth of connection. Janae Wolfram shares her sorrow for the 3 people abducted by ICE agents in Lacey this past Tuesday. It was in 3 separate instances along a half-mile stretch of road that morning. The local rapid response team has attempted to contact their families in order to engage LISO to provide legal support and assistance. We place 3 stones in the water, 1 for each of them, as we express our gratitude for those in our community who are helping us take care of our neighbors. And may we recommit to do what we can to help all who are in need. Cindy Elliott shares that her knee surgery went well and that she is recovering in the home of friends, hoping to return home today. Cindy, we send you our love and care with the hope that your recovery continues well. And last, parents Byron and Asia Conover share the joy that their baby twins are home after more than 100 days in the neonatal ICU because they were born early. Asia sent a photo to be shared. I know, a collective aww. And while their parents might be a bit tired, at 4 months old, Leroy, Christopher, and Antoinette Elizabeth are growing and they are thriving. Asia and Byron, we look forward to seeing you and meeting the twins when you're ready to return. And know that we are holding you and your family in love and care always. Let's open our circle wide now. For those joining us on Zoom, we invite you to share from your heart by entering in the chat. We'll be able to see it on the screen here in the sanctuary, and it's shared with me and the pastoral care team. For those on site today, I invite you to come forward if there's something you'd like to bring into the community this morning. You may place a stone in the water as you hold your sharing in your heart. Let's open our hearts as we hear the heartbeat of our community. We'll place a stone in the water for all that has been shared online, shared from the heart. And one more stone placed in the water for all that we hold in our hearts and that remains unspoken this day. We hold together all that has been shared. May you feel yourself witnessed. May you know that you are loved. Let's take a moment to harmonize our bodies and our breath. Please be in whatever way is comfortable for you to hum. I'm going to start humming, and I invite you to join me. Pick a note, hum, harmonize, do whatever you are moved to. Just enjoy the vibrations of what we create together. And I invite you to place a hand on your heart or on your belly so that you can feel the vibrations that you create in your body. We'll hum for a bit, and then we'll be in silence together.
I invite you to remain seated and let's sing from the Teal Hymn Book again. Hymn number 1053, How Could Anyone?
How could anyone ever tell you you were anything less than beautiful? How could anyone ever tell you you were less than whole? How could anyone fail to notice that your loving is a miracle? How deeply you're connected to my soul. How could anyone ever tell you you were anything less than beautiful? How could anyone ever tell you you were less than whole? How could anyone fail to notice that your loving is
Today's first reading is an excerpt from a report titled Caring for Parents as Whole Beings, written by Erica Barron, Lauren Wyeth, and Melissa James for the Unitarian Universalist Association in the fall of 2025. All three authors are on the regional staff of the Unitarian Universalist Association across the United States. Every parent in our cohort expressed a deep longing for understanding. They need their fellow congregants to understand the level of struggle they are living with. This includes understanding that parenting really is harder on average than it used to be. They need congregations to understand that there's very little that individual families can do about these challenges. So blaming parents for their lack of availability to volunteer or the resources to donate in high amounts is not helpful. In other words, the people currently raising children are not able to come and save our congregations. They need us to support them.
Part 1, Families Today. I have a 9-month-old puppy right now, and I was recently complaining to a friend that if I'd been able to accurately remember what the puppy workload was, I would have talked myself out of doing it again. They laughed and reminded me about the selective amnesia that we can all have for how hard something is. Once we are out of the trenches of whatever it is, whether a grueling backpacking trip, parenting a sick baby, house training a puppy, etc., we can remember it in hazy, romanticized shades that leave out the sheer misery. I've done this so many times. I'll never do this again, I tell myself in the moment. And then later I say, oh, I wish I could have another baby, puppy, home improvement project, uphill hike. This can mean that those of us who have parented small children or teens in the past can lose perspective over time on what that is really like. The farther we get away from the experience, the hazier our memories and the more out of touch with that reality we can become. Now, I took my mom on a vacation with me and my young kids for her 60th birthday, and she had only had 2 years of an empty house after my youngest siblings moved out at that point. And I was very frustrated to realize that she had already lost patience with the normal behaviors of small children. It's hard to keep perspective once you don't have to. So even though parenting has always been hard and challenging, those who are not parenting or are done parenting probably won't understand fully anymore. That said, parents today are facing greater challenges than past generations. It's important to remember that this is a generalization and it's on average. So an individual parent of yesteryear may have had it worse than a particular parent of today, but the averages tell us things are getting overall harder. One big aspect of this are the economic pressures of parenting today. The generations currently parenting young children, millennials and Gen Z, have a much smaller sliver of overall wealth than older generations had at this same time in their lives. The cost of living compared to wages has become incredibly burdensome. The average age for first-time home buyership is climbing into the 40s, and childcare costs can suck up a whole salary, making it incredibly difficult. So while it's always been expensive to have kids, families now are struggling in ways that our UU families of previous generations did not. In the 2025 UUA report, Caring for Parents as Whole Beings, the authors reported that half of the families in the cohort studied reported themselves as struggling to pay for housing. The Surgeon General's 2024 report, Parents Under Pressure, reported that 66% of parents surveyed said that they were consumed by financial worries on a regular basis. Now, related to the economic pressures are time pressures. The studies that have been done are all stuck in the gender binary and heteronormativity, so please pardon this framing for the data. It's all I have. But compared to my parents, who were parenting in the 1980s, today's fathers are working on average 4% more hours for wages, and today's mothers are working on average 28% more hours for wages. But the extra part is that my generation of children were still roaming around unsupervised on our bikes all over town or sitting at home alone as latchkey kids. We were unsupervised and feral creatures, which will not fly in today's parenting expectations. So today's parents are putting in more hours of direct parenting, with mothers reporting 40% more hours and fathers reporting a whopping 154% more hours. So families report themselves to be overscheduled and overwhelmed with very little time for church or volunteering. Another interesting finding from the recent UUA study of families is that UU congregations have higher than the national average levels of neurodiversity and gender diversity in their families. So there are more neurodiverse kids and adults and trans, non-binary, and gender non-conforming kids and adults in the families attending our congregations than you would find in the general population. This is likely a result of our values of welcome and inclusion, and it's a good thing. But it also means that the families in our congregations are even more targeted, marginalized, and stressed by today's political climate than families are in general. Now, none of this data shocked me when I read this study report a couple months ago. I've been working with families here at OUUC for 18 years now, and I've seen the patterns begin to shift. It was never easy, and I struggled to keep up with the expectations of the congregation when I was a young mother too. But over these 18 years, the ability of families to volunteer their time has clearly declined. And the expectation that we would all be able to afford to take our kids to laser tag or something like that for a group field trip has also changed. The old model of a big program that required a lot of effort and volunteerism and costs for parents has been let go. Instead, we are focused on meeting the needs that families tell us they have now. Parents want a chance to make connections and find support from other parents in a low-stress way. So we offer a parent group and family pancake breakfasts. Families can't fit much more running around and overscheduling into their busy lives. So we try to make a one-stop, something for everyone at once schedule where kids' classes also have parent groups or other opportunities for the parents at the same time. And people need to eat, so we feed them dinner too. Even the content that we offer to the kids has changed over time. When I first began as your religious educator, parents were asking for theoretical and abstract topics for their kids, like world religions or Bible literacy. Now, they want practical social and emotional learning about how to cope and be a resilient person while still working for a better world with more justice and love. So we offer classes about learning from loss, understanding death, being anti-racist, and having a healthy and values-based relationship to money. We are meeting the needs of today as much as we are able, and we will need to keep adapting as well. Because if we are to grow and thrive as a congregation, a denomination, and a larger society, we can't ask our strained young families to come and save us. We can't put out a call for strong young backs to come volunteer because we're done and tired. those strong young backs are already pretty loaded down. But what we can do is try to understand each other, remember how hard it can be, and seek to creatively support everyone's ability to be here in this multi-generational, beloved community.
Our second reading is adapted from Letting Go by UU minister Reverend J. Wolin. Are we a people of holding on or of letting go? Holding on to rigid ideas or letting go and opening our minds and our hearts to something new? Holding on to certainty of how things should be or letting go and living with the uncertainty of new ways of being in the world? Holding on to what makes us comfortable or letting go so we may grow, which can be uncomfortable? Holding on to what makes us safe or letting go to make room to help others feel safe? Let this flaming chalice of our religion be a symbol of burning up the ties that hold us back from being our true self and reaching our true potential. Let it be a symbol of lighting a new way for us into a better tomorrow. And let it be a symbol of letting go, because holding on too long and too tightly is never good for the soul.
Part 2, Making Space for Families. In 2001, the Unitarian Universalist publishing company Skinner House issued a collection of essays from over 30 UU religious professionals about the future of religious education in a new century. The collection was named Essex Conversations, Visions for Lifespan Religious Education. It was written to update a foundational text about religious education in our UU tradition, the 1979 Stonehouse Conversations. The 2001 updates included fully embracing the idea that religious education is a lifelong practice, not just for children and youth, and many reflections on what the core of our faith is as we entered a new century. When I started seminary in January of 2014, Essex Conversations was on the required reading list for UU ministers in training. And at a ministers' gathering I attended last year, someone asked when the conversations would be updated. And this is what the update looks like. Yes, it's a screenshot of a web page. The Threshold Conversations are taking place online and in collaboration across many UU professionals and organizations. The project was formed in 2022 with the idea that each year a new topic would be chosen and explored. And the first topic was Coming of Age, the program that we have for middle school youth to explore their beliefs and values. This Threshold Conversation page on the UUA website has hyperlinks to perspectives gathered on the topic of coming of age, which includes a recording of a live panel of speakers on Zoom sharing their experience of the program, several written essays about the theology and practice of the program, and audio interviews with youth who completed the coming of age program. Since it was formed, annual Thresholds topics have included faith development as an agent of culture change, and whole church, exploring how we can have a sense of belonging in an age of separation and division. The 2025 topic was the theology of covenant, and the final entry in the series was trauma-informed ministry, which was completed and posted just last month. Web pages, Zoom recordings, and audio files, oh my. My, how things have changed. The world has changed. Unitarian Universalism has changed. This congregation has changed, and families have changed. Unitarian Universalism is a living tradition. We claim it on the cover of our gray hymnal, Singing the Living Tradition. Our latest version of our hymnal, by the way, is virtual. Troy accesses it through a web page. Our identity is as a faith and a people who are always changing and growing. It is the definition of a liberal faith. We believe that the interpretation of the sacred texts that define who we are and what we believe can change over time as we change and grow. Conservative faith traditions believe that once an interpretation is made, it's set and cannot change. I'm using liberal and conservative not as a political statement, but as a descriptor for how we approach beliefs and values as either fixed and unchanging or open to change. This year, the OUUC Board of Trustees has invited us into conversations about how we are adapting to growth in this community. This is a question rooted in our identity as a liberal, changing, growing faith community. We are adapting in many ways, and how we are welcoming and including families is also changing. Reverend Sara spoke about the changes she's seen here over her 18 years of service, and as she said, we've let go of the old children's religious education model of a big program that requires a lot of effort, volunteerism, and costs for parents. Instead, we are seeking to meet parents and young ones and families where they are now, knowing that what we do will need to change again over time. In the after-service forum today at 12:15, Reverend Sara, Anissa, and I will talk more about how we have changed and what we're doing now, and we'll invite you to name your experiences in this congregation. I am so very grateful for how Reverend Sara and Anissa have listened so carefully to parents and young ones, reflected on what is possible here, and tried many things to see what works, being willing to let go of what doesn't. And it's working. We have more families finding us, making the effort to come on Thursdays for dinner and on Sundays for worship. I hear from parents that they are so appreciative of the space here for them in the sanctuary and the invitation to be where they are comfortable, which includes children's programs in the RE wing. And that we offer services online, which might be the most comfortable place for families to join. They so appreciate being fed on Thursday evenings, and they so appreciate a community that accepts them and their family no matter how they show up. One of the things that I admire about this congregation is that you continued to fund and support a program for children and youth, not only through COVID when we were all online, but after, when we didn't see many families and children return. Some congregations had such severe financial challenges and so few families that they simply stopped funding any programs for children and families. I never once heard that suggestion here, and I am so grateful for the vision and foresight and support of families that you have shown. For those of you who raised children here at OUUC or at other UU congregations, you've seen how things have changed. Reverend Sara reminded me that two of our staff, Anissa in RE and Carbon at the tech desk, were raised in this congregation, and they've shared the changes that they've seen in their lifetime. And with all of that change, some of you are grieving the loss of how things used to be. There was a time here when the RE program had many children who came to church every Sunday with their families, who were in age-specific RE classes back in the classrooms and that were taught by their parents, and who participated in Christmas pageants and Yule plays, and who gathered in the front of the sanctuary for a story before they then left the service. We've let go of those practices, changing to meet the needs of families and children as they are now. I've said many times that with change comes loss, and with loss comes grief, and grief hurts. On occasion, someone will ask me if we can do what we used to do, especially when it comes to children and programs for families. And what I hear in that question is, can you please make it like it used to be so that I don't have to grieve? There are many layers to that grief. I recognize it and I hold it. Some of that grief is shared and some of it is unique to individuals. I think one of the gifts that we can give our families today is to let go of the expectation that it will be again as it once was, to face the loss and to feel the grief. We can let go of what we say and do that is no longer serving families as we are now, no longer serving us as a whole, all ages, beloved community. On the other side of grief is transformation and possibility, an openness to what is waiting to be. I hope that this community is a place where we can face the losses together as we continue to grow and adapt. It is a leap of faith to parent a child at any time, and especially in these times. Theologian and Catholic priest Henry Nouwen wrote, "For those who are deeply aware that we are living in a time that can be sure only of the past and the present, but not the future, giving life to a new human being becomes an act of resistance. It is saying loudly, for us, life is stronger than death, love is stronger than fear, and hope is stronger than despair." I know that we are a community of open minds, hearts, and hands, open to the possibility of transformation. I know that our practice of welcome and inclusion can be a balm in a time of division and isolation. And I know that our message of love at the center can offer hope in a time of despair. As we grow and change, may we let go when and where it's needed so that we can continue to make space for families so that they can nurture life and love and hope.
I invite you to rise one more time and let's sing Allie Halpert's wonderful Loosen.
Loosen, loosen, baby. You don't have to worry. The weight of the world in your muscles and bones. Let go, let go, let go. Holy breath and holy name. Will you ease my pain? Loosen, loosen, baby. You don't have to worry. The weight of the world in your
we extinguish our chalice with the words of the Reverend Michelle Collins. As you leave this space made sacred by our presence, may you practice the art of truly noticing yourself with honesty, others with compassion, and the world with clear eyes. Remember that attention is love made deliberate. So go with the courage to look closely, to stay present, to let what you witness reshape you as well as the world. May you go with joy, go with commitment, go with love.